Just quickly on that, you've been doing a bit of travel around WA. I know people in other states that can move around their states. They're all getting back to domestic tourism in a way we haven't seen for some time. What's the sense of it in the West?
Yeah, and I think we've got some of my bird photos. I've been in the southwest of Western Australia. This is really interesting. We've had school holidays. It was very, very hard to get accommodation throughout the southwest of Western Australia. We managed to get some and get out and about. Talking to real estate agents down there, Peter, and these are men. I spoke to 3 different men who've been in the game for more than 20 years each. They said it's never been busier. So what they're seeing is people in the city wanting to move out to the country. There you go. There's a Western whistler, a golden whistler to the rest of Australia, and a Western rosella, some West Australian birds there for you that I photographed. What they're saying is that people are desperate to get out of the city, that people who live in apartments want, say, a quarter-acre block, a house and land package, and those first-home buyers plus other top-ups from the state government means you can get up to $70,000 when they waive stamp duty. People who live in houses in the city want acreage. So, interesting. Real estate agents saying they've never been busier. Towns like Margaret River yelling up you couldn't get accommodation for love nor money. Towns like Exmouth, Peter, a lot of grey nomads there. That population is 2,500 people. It's swelled, I'm told, to 16,000 people. Karratha almost doubled its population. Yeah, doubled its population. I've spoken to people who were up there on holidays. They said 50 to 100 boats and four-wheel drives at the boat ramp, sort of almost crowded beaches in areas that we would consider fairly regional and fairly remote. Western Australians are out and about. Those towns are doing very, very nicely. Real estate agents in select areas are saying they've never been busier. So it really felt, I've got to tell you, it really felt like I was living in another country. We didn't have Sky News. I got back and I started following the news again, and it was just, it's really different over here, and I don't mean to be smug. I feel terribly sorry for people locked up in Victoria, but people were shaking hands in regional Victoria, Peter, without a second thought.
In regional WA?
Yeah, regional WA, sorry. And, you know, I'm talking to you and following all of this, and it just feels like we're in another country, particularly in the regions. Now, I would hate to say people are complacent. I don't want to say that people are smug because I know so many are doing it tough, but it's just like being in another country. It's completely different.
Well, look, Victorians don't want to wish our pain on the rest of the country, and I think would be gladdened to say that, you know, the signs that you're opening up the economy in the West, that there are businesses in those towns that have relied on tourism that they haven't had much of this year are starting to recover in some way. That's good, because I think Victoria will be in a world of pain for some time. It's one of the biggest state-based economies in the nation. So if Victoria is going to struggle, every other state's sort of got to lift, otherwise as a nation we're in trouble. So very good, Jane. And I can tell from those pictures that you're a twitcher as well as a good gardener and a good cook, and goodness me. Look at those birds. And you knew the names of them. I can't believe that.
I have a twitcher, and they were mainly rare West Australian birds, a couple of wood swallows, and I think a dusky swallow in there too for bird lovers. And to be honest with you, I took those for people who are locked up. For those of you who are locked up in your homes in Melbourne and you can't get out, those photographs are for you.
You're a beautiful girl, Jane Marwick. If you want more of Jane and her podcast, The Jane Marwick Show, it's out there on iTunes and everywhere else you get your podcast. Thank you. See you next week, Jane.
Thank you, Peter.